All right, friends, welcome back to another episode of the Way You Lead podcast. Today, I want to share 3 shifts that you must make to go from founder and scrappy operator to CEO and true leader of your business. It's an important shift that you've got to make, and most people don't make, and they get stuck in. And the result of getting stuck in this is, and not making the shift of staying in founder mode, is that you become the bottleneck for your business and you get stuck in the weeds and you have a really bad time. So I am speaking from experience. I went from scrappy founder mode and just solo operator with my cousin to leading a team of 18 people within 2.5 years and $20 million in revenue. And we had to make these shifts fast, especially with our first year growth rate. So these shifts are really important to make as any founder shifting to a CEO. And you also need to make the shift even if you're not hiring or managing people. These shifts apply to you as well. Even if you're a solopreneur, these are shifts that are important to make because you need to start leading your business the way that your business and your mission, quite frankly, need you to lead it, not the way that you want to lead it. And so these are a couple shifts that I want to help you. I want to talk through and help you make and share my personal stories with it as well. So number one is shift from being the operator to being the architect. So this means stop being in the machine and start building and designing the way the machine works. So I want to share with you the Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants for different tasks and time management. I'm going to pull it up here and you'll see it on your screen. This is really important to understand for making the shift from operator to architect. So we have these 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 are the things in this matrix that are important and urgent. So these are things like crises, emergencies, pressing problems, deadline-driven projects, last-minute preparation stuff. This is important to do and it's urgent. It's time-sensitive, time-bound. Quadrant 2 is the important stuff, but not urgent. This is preparation, planning, value clarification, relationship building. This is also true recreation and relaxation. So very important note. We'll talk about the nuance there. But this is important but not urgent. Quadrant 2. This is the quadrant 2 we're going to circle. This is really where we need to be as the architect. Quadrant 3 is not important but urgent. These are interruptions, calls, mail, meetings, email, pressing matters, popular activities. It's not important stuff, but it's like it feels urgent. And then quadrant 4 is not important and not urgent. This is busy work, trivial activities, some amount of calls and emails, time wasters, going down the scroll holes on Instagram. Those are not important, not urgent. So our goal from shifting from operator to architect is to shift from quadrant 1 and 2 and maybe some quadrant 3 to quadrant 3 dominant. We need to create the space for us to be in quadrant 3. And I'll share some examples of what that looks like as well. But one of the things that worked really well for us at Edge 3 Labs when we were building our team, and even just internally between Rob and I, is that we did not do meetings before 11 a.m. because that was the time where we could dive into quadrant 3 stuff. I did not look at my email or respond to people before 11 a.m. And some days I would push it to 1 p.m. really too, to have that full morning time so I could sink my teeth into the important but not urgent things, because I knew that by the afternoon there would be plenty of urgent things for me to focus on and there were urgent things that I need to get done. So you have to really build to become the architect. The architect is someone who is doing the architecture work is quadrant 3. It is doing the important but not urgent stuff, meaning that you need to shift your focus and build your schedule and time around doing the deep work in quadrant 3 so that you can build the systems that then support that. Instead of just like constantly, I'll give you a perfect example. It's like, and I'll relate it to right now as a solopreneur in my podcast and content game, is I could be like constantly in this like important and urgent of like, I got to get this podcast out. I got to like do the post on social media. Like, you know, it's launching today, so I got to get it done. And it's like, now my time is going towards posting that. That's me in quadrant 1. That's me being an operator. Me being the architect is pre-batching that. It's working a couple weeks ahead, and now working with my content editor and my team to work a couple weeks ahead so that I'm doing the work ahead and getting that scheduled, and then it's scheduled and then it just publishes and I don't have to do it. So I need to though spend my time building the system, my social media publishing system on Planable, building the workflow for my content editor to make sure that the things get published in the right ways, building those approval streams so that when my time is spent on that, then it frees me up so I can do more of quadrant 3 stuff, because quadrant 3 is where you move the needle. And the most productive and the most effective CEOs and founders and operators of any kind are quadrant 3 heroes. They spend their time in quadrant 3, and that's the goal, is to get our time as most in quadrant 3 as possible. Yes, it's not going to it's not going to always be perfect, and there always will be quadrant 1 and quadrant 2 stuff that you have to, quadrant 3 stuff you have to do. There shouldn't be any quadrant 4 stuff. You got to eliminate the important, the not important and not urgent. And I think a lot of people these days are spending time in quadrant 4, not important, not urgent, not important, not urgent either. Let me get out of this. And for us, we had, and I had quite a lot of quadrant 1 stuff. So let me tell you, when we had things that were urgent and important, they felt urgent and important. When I'm getting a call from Mark Wahlberg's right-hand man that his unit is down out in Australia for a movie he's filming and we need help troubleshooting it, that feels pretty important and that feels pretty urgent. So I had to build systems around that and also use those and build out the systems to delegate those to the right people and to be able to fire off a quick response or make the introduction to our head of customer support and then have the system built out where I trusted him and he could now work with that person to resolve it. Or sometimes you just got to get on the phone and handle it yourself. So I know what it means when there's a lot of important urgent stuff because we dealt with a lot of that with our product in particular. So that's number 1. You need to be quadrant 3 focused. You need to build the system that allows yourself and others to execute with more clarity and autonomy. So you need to move from doing everything to orchestrating everything and doing just the limited things that you need to do. So the question I would ask yourself, and again, even if you don't have employees, how can I create an environment where the work happens without me? Ask yourself that question. How can I create the environment where the work happens without me? Because that'll get you thinking in that systems mindset. Even if you're the one that's executing on that systems, it will get you out of like putting out fires and out of just like trying to keep your head above water to being in a system. And we know that if you don't have a system for it, it's not going to be sustainable because you can only keep, you might be motivated. It's like, cool, I'm going to start posting on social media. I see this happen all the time. I'm going to start posting a bunch, or I'm going to start doing all this marketing, and you go full blast with it, and you're going to make it a focal point, and it's going to last a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then it goes away because there's no underlying system that's going to allow you to rely on. Like, we fall to the level of our systems. We fall back to the level of our system. So you need to shift from being the operator and doing all the things to being the architect and building these systems that can allow you and your team to reliably operate. That's number 1. Number 2 is an identity shift. So we need to shift from identity attachment to stewardship. So this is stewardship. So from identity attachment to stewardship. This is something that I don't see a lot of people talking about, but was really important for me, and I think is going to be really important for you. You are not your business. You serve your business. I had a session with my good friend, Christina the Channel, and she does a lot of readings on people's energies and also your business energy, because this was fascinating to me to learn, but and it makes sense. But your business is its own entity. Your business has its own energy. It has its own energy field. It has its own aura. It has its own desires and wants. And I loved when I learned that because it was like, that makes so much sense. And now I feel like I'm tending to this thing. I'm not this thing. I'm tending to this thing that has its own mission and goals and purpose and desire. I'm the provider for it. I'm the fuel for it. I'm the bloodline for it. But it is its own being, really. And that was really helpful because one of the things that she told me is that she said, Edge 3 Labs right now, she's like, it feels like a glowing white castle, but it wants to be a kingdom. How can you think bigger? And I was like, whoa, I never even crossed my mind. How can I think bigger? I felt like I was thinking pretty big as is, but how do I think bigger? And that really planted the seeds for me and for us to start thinking about how can we build more than just a product? How do we build a movement around this? How do we build other products within this too? And that gave me permission to really feel that and to think in those ways. So this is important too, as well, of remembering shifting that identity attachment to stewardship, because when we identify, it's so easy for us as founders, we identify too closely with our business. This is an issue for a couple different reasons. Number 1, this is an issue because it can cloud our judgment for what's best for the business. Go listen to the episode I did with Sam. I believe it was episode 197. I'll double check that. It'll be in the show notes. But with Sam, she talks about in her business that the power of pivoting, and she had to pivot away from what her passion really was within the business and totally do a pivot to make a business that was to make the right move for the business ultimately. And that was difficult for her, but she talks about how she had the responsibility to her shareholders, to her investors, to her employees, to the business itself that she's here to serve, that even though it went away from more of the impact that she started it for, it was her responsibility and stewardship. And I thought that was so healthy and such an important way of remembering. It's obvious when you have shareholders, investors, but even if you don't, even if it's just you, like, what is in the best interest of the business? How can I be a steward to this business? And that's a big shift from a founder, because a founder, it's like you are the business. You are figuring it out. You are putting yourself out there. You are doing it. But now there's this separation, and it's a really healthy separation because it allows you to act with more clarity for what is in the business best interest, number one. And number two, it creates more of an identity separation, which is really helpful, because especially as you make that shift from founder to CEO, it's like, you are not your business. You are operating your business. And this is helpful for you to not get too attached to the highs and also the lows that come with it. This is something I had to really work with, and I'm glad that I did in real time. Otherwise, I would have been in a very different situation through the wind down process and through losing the business, because it was really easy for me to want to, like, and I had to catch myself, and thank God I had great mentors and coaches and people that were reminding me of this principle, because I wanted to get attached to it. It's like, and Edge Theory Labs was like, it was taking off, and it was becoming successful, and we were meeting with celebrities, and we were having historic month over month growth, and we were getting into new rooms. And so it was really easy for me, Joshua, as co-founder of the business, to want to, like, take that on and be like, it's me, look at me, I am the business. But I remembered, I am more than this business. This business right now, yes, it's my main focus and my main priority, but it is just one part of me, one aspect of me. I also have the podcast. That's why it was really important. If you notice, I never stopped my podcast throughout Edge Theory Labs. Maybe instead of doing once or twice a week, I was doing once or twice a month, because my focus was over here. But it was really important for me to still be feeding my other passions, my other passion projects, like the podcast and doing other things, versus just the business, to not get too swept up in the business, because that's a dangerous thing, because now we're putting all of our eggs in this basket. We're putting identity, we're delegating our power away from ourselves to this thing, this entity, this business that 95% of businesses fail, that, like, we don't know if it's going to make it or not. We want it to make it, but it's also a vulnerable thing, because if I would have taken that on, then I would have exposed myself to the fall, right? And to taking it all personally as we fell. And I had to really work on that through the upswing, but it made it a lot easier through the downswing as well. It didn't make it easy. It made it easier, because it was still very, very freaking difficult, but to not take it personally as well. And this also helps from identity attachment to stewardship. It helps you not take things so personally, because as a founder and CEO, it is difficult, because you have to show up personally. You wear your heart on your sleeve. You show up, and you got to take the no's professionally. You got to take the losses. You got to take the challenges, the customer service issues. You have to take that professionally. And that's a difficult thing to do. If you're someone that's in sales or has a sales background, you know this more than anybody. It's like, show up with a high intention, but have a low attachment to the outcome. Like, how it's a difficult thing to not take the no's personal, because you're selling yourself in a way, especially when it's your business, you're selling yourself. But create that separation from identity attachment to stewardship, and it will make a massive, massive difference. So that is number two, is being able to make that shift and to also shift that ego perspective. The quote that I love from my mentor, Giorgio, he says, take no credit, take no blame, just stay focused on your chief aim. Don't take the credit, don't take the blame, stay focused on your chief aim. The masses, what most people want to do is they want to take credit for something. But if you take credit for something, you expose yourself to also receive blame for something. But if you do neither, and you just stay focused on your chief aim and your focus, take no credit, take no blame, leave it there. That's what the masters do. They don't take credit, they don't take blame, they leave that aside, and they just keep staying focused on their chief aim and what they're focused on doing. And this is amazing. If you're someone that creates content, this is a powerful shift. Take no credit, take no blame, stay focused on your chief aim. When you get an Instagram video, I wrestle with this, that blows up, or you get a ton of views or a ton of subscribers or downloads to a certain episode, amazing. We want to take credit for that. Yeah, crush that. But then if we do that, we also open ourselves up to take blame for, like, when things don't go well, and the next episode we publish, or the next podcast clip, or the next video or reel doesn't get it. Then it's like, oh man, that sucks. That hurts now. I did something wrong. No. Take no credit, take no blame. On a deeper spiritual level, this is why I love having God as a part of this and working with God, because at the end of the day, it's all God. The good and the bad. I hand both over. I hand the glory to God, and I also, whatever things don't land, part of God's plan too. I don't, it's like, I'm a channel and a vessel for his work in that way. And so like, I will follow and listen to what he says in that regard and do my part. And like, if something lands, amazing, great. Again, not me. Something doesn't land, great, feedback, not me. Also, I'll take ownership of my part with it. Number 3, from the shift we need to make from visionary to aligner. So what this means is having the vision is one thing, and as founders, you have the vision, but aligning people around that vision and galvanizing people around that vision is a whole different thing and a whole different skill set. So we need to go from being the visionary to the aligner, to the communicator of that vision. So the way I like to say it is like founders are dreamers, CEOs are translators. So we need to become, to make the shift from founder to CEO, you need to become a translator for that vision, because your vision is so personal and you feel it within your bones, within your body, within your soul, most likely. And that's great, but you can't expect other people to feel that too. You have to figure out how you can translate that feeling and that vision to align the people and the organization around that thing. And not only the people or organization, but your audience, your customers. You have to be able to translate that vision. So it's really being like from being a visionary to a translator. And you have to constantly clarify, repeat, embed your vision, embed your vision into the DNA of what you're doing, of the team. So it was very clear at Edge what we stood for, what our mission was, what our values were, what our team philosophy was. We had a really great philosophy doc, our culture code doc. And whenever I work with founders, I share them that template, and we work together to create that, to be super crystal clear, to have it disseminated throughout Slack so that everybody's aware and on the same page of what that is and what that looks like. And like your team should be able to, you should be able to ask anybody on your team, from your hourly contractor who does only a couple things for you a month to your executive director of marketing, everybody in between on that organization. Honestly, I would say even down to the people that come in the janitors and clean the office. Like I went to that extreme, and it worked really well for us. Of they should know what is our mission? What are we here to do? What is this about? And they should be able to say it. They should be able to say it without even thinking twice. So at Edge Theory Labs, our mission was to help you unlock your maximum human potential. Boom. Super clean, super clear. We knew that. Everybody in our organization knew. What's our mission? We're on a mission to help you unlock your maximum human potential. Boom. Everybody could say that in the organization, from our repair technician to our head of sales. Everybody could say that within our organization. So our broader mission statement was, at Edge Theory Labs, we believe that greatness happens at the edge of your comfort zone, and we're on a mission to give you the tools that give you the edge on your performance, a greater sports performance and recovery, well-being, and longevity. And that mission statement was very clear. So then below, and I'll read you here, I have pulled up our vision statement, is that our vision is to build a company that goes beyond just selling a product to make money, but rather innovates solutions that make people healthier and gives them the opportunity to be part of a community of like-minded high performers. We envision Edge Theory Labs leading the recovery market as a dynamic ecosystem of hardware, software, and services, empowering people to stress less and achieve more, develop a deeper sense of relationship with themselves, and open the portal of their own possibility and potential. That gets me so hyped reading that. Like, fuck yeah, I love that. I love that we created a company that executed on that. And obviously it didn't express that in a massive, $1 billion way, but it did modestly in its own way. And it's living on through the impact that it makes. So your job is to be able to get super clear around that. And again, it doesn't matter. Even if you don't have anyone, you're just starting off, your solopreneur, develop that mission statement, develop that vision statement, make that clear. Focus on translating that. Reach out to me if you need help in translating that, because it's so important to have that translated so that it gives you these guardrails. It gives you a compass. And then it also makes you more magnetic for your customers to come reach you, because you are now broadcasting this signal. You are planting this flag in the sand and being like, this is who I am. This is who we are. This is what I stand for, so that your team can rally behind that, and other people and customers out there can be able to look and see, oh, cool, I like that flag. I want to walk towards that flag. I want to go hang out over there with these people at this flag, because this is really clear to me. So you have to go from that visionary to that translator, and constantly translating that. And we went through this culture philosophy doc. I won't go through the whole thing right now because it would be too long, but we would take everyone through. I'm happy to send it to you if you're interested, and I'll send you the template for free. We went through every onboarding, every new hire, every single person that we brought on to our organization, we went through this in depth. And then once a quarter, we went through it with our team again to remind our team. And we had everybody go around and read parts of it and be entrenched in it. And it was super motivating and super aligning to come back to this. So that's a really important part. Making the shift from founder to CEO is becoming the translator and the aligner instead of just the visionary. So those are 3 key shifts. There's really a lot more, but if I had to bake down into 3 key shifts that you need to make to step up from founder to CEO, it would be those 3 core shifts. And then there's many other ones that trickle down from those 3 core ones. I'll do some more podcast episodes on that more. Like and comment more, or shoot me a DM or comment on the YouTube video if you want more of these types of shifts, and I'll happy to share more. So that's it for today. I hope this was helpful for you. DM me if you have any questions. Let's keep the conversation going, and I'm excited to continue to share more and open up the curtains and unveil more behind what I've learned from my experience at Edge Theory Labs and making these shifts from founder to CEO, and how it can help you do the same thing and avoid some of the pitfalls that we ran into, and share some of the frameworks that I wish that we had when we were trying to save the business and when we ultimately had to make the toughest decision to lead through our wind down and our dissolution. All right, y'all. Lots of love. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Talk to you soon. Until next time.